everybody, how are you doing? Let me just fix a couple sound things. All right, so it's a Friday and I'm actually able to get on today. Yay! Today, because I got the go-ahead from my client, I'm going to start working on this fantastic display piece that he got from this fellow named Andrew London. He has a website. It's HOUSECARL.com. I did put information in the description below, including a link. So do be sure to go and check this out. This is one of those pieces where I didn't even know this was something that was out there in existence. But it's a way to display your miniatures, but sort of give it a diorama, dynamic means of doing so. This is actually a pretty good sized piece too. And here, let me get my ruler out. So this piece measures, if my ruler is going to play nicely, because it has magnets stuck to it, it measures exactly a foot by 9 inches. All right, so a foot long, 9 inches wide, and it is, we're going to call that 1.5 inches deep. What it does is it nests into this gorgeous frame piece so that you can hang it up on your wall. So I'm going to move it up here to my camera so you can get an idea of what this is like. So this is what it looks like, and then you have this great frame that goes around it. And you're able to, and I did take a picture of this that I put up on Twitter, and then you're able to just put your minis in here. Hold on, my left is my right is my left. So that way you can kind of get like a fun display going on. So I put a couple in here so you can see how it looks. But this was one of those things where he came up to me after I was done with the panel at PAX Unplugged, and he asked if I'd be interested in painting it because the person who was there was in the vendor section selling these. So he was like, can you do this for me? I'm going to go and purchase it if you can. So it's one of those things I was like, absolutely. I would love to get my hands on that. So this kind of gives you the idea. I have to carefully turn it. It does come with plexiglass too, so you can protect it from dust and everything. He kept that, rightfully so. But this gives you an idea of what it's like. Now, here's my reasoning for showing you what it looks like with the minis right now. Yes, you can see the minis, but by nature, gray likes to absorb some of the color. Any darker color is going to do that. So when talking with him about what he wanted to do for this piece, I sort of had in mind, after my little trip to Tuscany when I was in college, doing sort of an Italian palazzo type of color combination. So ivories and whites and rich reds and, those warmer earth tones, because I don't want to go full on, let's make this all dark gray, because it's going to absorb the light and it's not going to pop the figures out as much as a lighter colorscape would. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of give this more of that, like I said, an Italian palazzo, bring in the terracotta, bring in the ivory, bring in the creams, and that way when minis get put onto this, they'll pop out more because their colors will be more of a dynamic coloring, or a dynamic contrast, that's what I want, to what's going on here. Also, forgive me, my voice is raspy today. We played a great game last night for Dawnbringers, and it was one of those things where I didn't have enough water on hand, so I'm a little bit parched still, even though I've been drinking my tea like crazy this morning. Now, the great thing is this does come, I'll show you, let me flip it on its side here. This does come, you can see there's this color differentiation right here. It comes primed, so I don't have to do any major prep work to it. I did look through. Looks like he takes care of all the mold lines and everything like that. So as a mini painter, for me, this is literally, I took it out of the bubble wrap, took a look at it, and realized I can just jump right in with paints. Now, in terms of the paints I'm going to use, I'm going to leave that up to you should you get one of these for yourselves. But I am going to be using my craft paints because I like using my craft paints. Now, Plaid did send me a new color that I did not have in my arsenal, and this one is called, oh, that's right, this one is called White Pearl. My focus is going to be funky because we're dealing with a bigger piece, so it's not quite down to mini scale. But this one's called White Pearl, unlike Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl. So I'm going to take White Pearl, and what I want to do is I want to go through first, and I'm going to do a layer just to bring out more of these details because there's so many little bits going on. I don't want to miss anything, and by doing this, I'll get that contrast going. So it's kind of like what I do with my shadow laying stuff with miniatures, but I'm not going to do a whole bunch of it. Reason being is I did check, and these lines are not very deep. So what I don't want to do is overload this and then start losing detail because of too many layers of paint. So I'm literally just doing sort of what's it, the Zenith approach, the Zenith, what's it called? Oh, I'm blanking today. I am tired, can you tell? So I don't want to go and just do layer after layer after layer and then start losing details because of it. So it's only going to be this one layer of the white pearl. And then I'm pretty much going to approach this floor by floor by floor, I think is probably my best bet. So I'm looking at the top here. I think what I might do is attack the top because it's got this really cool wooden roof to it. So I want to paint this up so it has the beams and everything, the detail work. And the sides here have, it looks like this could be wooden paneling, but I'm actually thinking I might make these sort of copper end caps just as something fun to play off with. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be working on today, and I'll probably be carrying it on depending on how things go. Maybe Fridays when I have time, just keep working on this, and I'll do some other work behind the scenes as well and just explain what I did on the in-between. But yeah, that is the plan for today. So let me get started, and I'm just going to go in with the white pearl. Oh, wait a minute. Is this a metallic? Oh, it's a metallic. See? Not gonna be, this is actually a beautiful, first black then white then techno. This is actually not gonna be using this. I didn't realize that was a metallic. Interesting. Like I said, it's a new paint, and normally their metallics have a little diamond or something on the top, so I did not think. Let me adjust accordingly. Hold on, folks. You want to see behind the curtain? So here we go behind the curtain. This needs to get shifted down a level. Let me put you there. So that being the case, let me check. Let me try titanium white. That looks like a similar, and that is not metallic. Okay, cool. So I don't want to go pure white or like a super cream color because I don't want one to majorly blot out the other. You know, I'm not. I think it's a resin pour from the feel of it. I'm gonna say it's a resin. Definitely not 3D printed. It feels like a poured deal. It's very well done. Like I said, I looked through it. There's nothing I need to trim away, nothing I need to file or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to go in with titanium white. I'm not going with a pure white because I don't want to be that stark of a contrast. I'm also not doing a cream or a gray. Creams because I know I'm going to be using creams. Grays because I don't want to get stuck in grays. So this white has a little bit of a neutral lower tone to it. And I always talk about levels. So this is why I'm going to go for titanium white instead of the pearl. Because that was actually pearlescent. I'm going to have to go through all these colors they sent me now and make sure I didn't miss any that were also pearlescent. That's too funny. You saw it here first. Da 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 da. So going in, I'm actually taking my 5/8 inch brush. I almost need to can I do it this way? Yeah, no. I need a third camera just to get focus on the things on the in-between. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to actually turn it up like this. And you can see there are these panels going for the wooden ceiling. So I'm just going to go through. And like I said, these are not deep grooves. So I don't want to overdo it, which is why this is going to be the only layer of my doing this that you'll see. But I do want to get those details to pop out because it also helps me start plotting more. Because every so often I find sometimes little things get lost, literally, because they're little. And I don't want to do that. So what I do is I'm working literally against the grain. Literally, seriously, for realsies. And then when I get to the beams, pulling the brush across the beams to bring those out so you can see more of the detail happening here as opposed to on this side where it's still just the stark mid-gray color. So that is the plan here. I'm gonna do this with the upper floor, and it's just putting some of the paint on a brush, blotting it off on your paper towel and bringing it up and through. But this is helping me see more. And now Fridays are going to start getting tricky. So like I said, I'm going to try and hop on when I can to get things done. See, this is what I mean. I didn't even realize that there are these end caps here. Those were fading a little bit into the distance. So that's really cool to see. Going to still keep going with Wednesdays. Not to worry about that. But my schedule is, surprise, surprise, shifting again. So Fridays are going to be more of a play it by ear type of approach. And like I said before in a previous stream, in terms of terrain creation, I did that whole big thing for Cobalt Press, which was wonderful, and I loved doing it. It was great to get in terrain again. But in terms of what we need household-wise, we are basically at capacity. There's really nothing we need. So I'm not really creating too much terrain right now. A lot of it is because of the storage factor. So right now, since we do I have so many minis, my focus is going to be more mini right now. So heads up, I'll be doing a lot of mini painting, and I'm going to be doing the lunch break live streams with miniatures stuff as my focus. Simply because, you know, life is always good at making sure there's more going on. Like this evening, I get to go watch my oldest. I'm so proud of him. He took the drama class this semester, and they're doing their play. And hello, Dustins and Dragons! And they're doing their play this week. Right now, they're doing 2 daytime matinees for the kiddos, for the younger grades. And then this evening, they're doing another rendition of it. And he actually had a play though they did it again last night. And it is, wait for it, Beauty and the Beast. So I'm, of course, loving it. He's really put a lot of work into it. I'm super proud of his little work ethic. He's, you know, making sure he's remembering his marks and his line. He got a line. He's one of the younger kids, so that was pretty cool for him. But yeah, it's been sweet watching him go through the process of rehearsals and learning everything and working with his fellow castmates, and it's been an adventure for him, which is great. Let me pull this in the screen. All right, so I'm just taking this also around the edge here, and I do want to play this up more. So you see there's faint details going on in the brickwork here. A good portion of this will get covered up by the frame a little bit. Hello, Justin Harris. How are you? But I am working on getting the edge here, just a little bit more of that, because I want to play that up more. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of going through. Like I said, this is a bigger piece. It was tricky to get a frame set going so you could still kind of see what I'm doing. But not to be so ridiculously zoomed in, you're like, what the hell's going on? Or so zoomed out, same thing, just too far away. So hopefully this is a good range for everyone. All right, so this is starting to take a little bit more shape here. I'm putting a little bit more paint on my brush. I do want to get more in this corner over here. There's a little bit more detail I want to pull out through that beam. Yeah, see, there's more going on here. Didn't know that existed. That just popped itself out. Like I said, this is something I like to do just for myself as well, to make sure I'm seeing all these great little details that have cropped up and are included. But again, this is the only layering I am doing like this. I am not going to do my shadow layers where I build up from grays to whites, because I don't want to get all these lines super filled in with too many layers of paint. You know, it's not like a Whiz Kids Deep Cuts mini where they have really fantastic deep grooves in there. Oh God, taxes. Yeah, those are always fun. I still have to work on my expenses. That's always fun. I hate bookkeeping, but it's necessary. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Especially when, like, you're small little business. You gotta sit down with all those bits of information and plug it into your spreadsheet, and ta-da! And you're either happy or you're grimacing. Depends. How was your year? That's the not so fun part, right? Adulting! I've seen a few memes going around of, I don't want to adult anymore this week. I don't know if it's something in the air, but everyone's just having one of those weeks where it's like, okay, I've had enough. You know, so you can see there's sort of like a little post going on right here, which I didn't even see until I did this. Isn't that interesting? There, right there. I didn't know that was part of it. So Proof yet again why I really do like doing this with miniatures. Sort of an insurance policy to make sure you're catching it all, right? And like I said, I'm just going to do this on the upper floor right now. So I'm going to pretty much stop around this point. So I'm going to get up through here, and then the rest I'll just leave be and do it in sections. I'm thinking is probably my best bet because there's so much going on here. I'm worried if I go with everything, my eye's going to be jumping everywhere. And this is more just personal technique than, you know, this is how you should absolutely do it. I like to talk out what I'm doing so people understand the method to my madness. But it's going to be a busy weekend, that is for sure. Got some scout events happening. And then just life in general. Like, we still need to get the Christmas tree down. We haven't had it lit. It's pretty much undecorated, but it's one of those things where it's been sitting in the living room. It's fake. It's not real. It's not like I have pine needles everywhere. It's one of those things that's just been sitting in the living room because of the time factor and lack thereof. All right, so we have some brickwork style stuff happening here. And the walls do have a really cool, almost stucco-like texture. So that is going to be fun to play around with as well. I'm going to just bring this across the window zone. And I'm definitely going to do sort of a, yeah, see, there's a little bit of these panes lost at the bottom. Sort of a lead paned window look. And I'm debating if I want to try and give this sort of a stained glass effect, or if I'm going to treat it just as sort of clear glass. We'll see. Like I said, it's one of those things I'm going to be looking back at pictures for reference and decide what would probably be the best way to go about it. My only concern is if I do stained glass is that the colors might start detracting from the minis. So that's the one thing I am definitely very much trying to keep in mind. The function and purpose of this piece as well. Because this is definitely something that's going up on his wall. It's going to be a permanent fixture, so to say. I don't want to overwhelm and have it be too much, because you can detract from the minis if you put too much into it. I love how these little steps right here. Like, it has tiny little steps right through here. See that? Isn't that adorable? Like I said, there are these little details that are just wonderful and fun to catch. But I didn't do this, I'd be missing a few points. So I'm glad this is coming together. And whenever you go to do the brick, remember, pull the brush in the opposite direction as best you can. Sometimes just by angles, you really truly can't. That is a thing. But yeah, this is going to be fun. Like these things, I wonder if he's going to have little smaller miniatures he can pop in there as little display pieces. That's the fun thing. It's always when you're doing a commission piece, I wonder what's going to happen with this. I wonder what they're going to do with that. Oh, that reminds me. I got a wonderful email from the gentleman who won the 10K giveaway I did for the YouTube channel back in, what was that, June? God, really that long ago? So back in June when I did that giveaway thing of all those fantastic goodies I pulled together for the winner, he sent me an email the other day with a picture of the beholder that I had painted on one of the streams, and he used it in his campaign, and he showed me the encounter he created with the train he's made and the minis he had out, and it was just so cool and so fun to see it in action. I really do get a kick seeing what happens with the minis once they leave my art desk. So that was a nice little surprise. I was not expecting to hear from him at all. It was one of those, aw, that's fantastic, thank you. So yeah, that was fun. All right, so I'm gonna get this ledge up here, which has, kind of reminds me of that swirling effect they do in concrete. You see that? It's pretty cool. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that though. That's a section I'm going to ponder. Here we go. Yeah, there's more and more that's starting to come out here. Definitely not going to do too many. I have a feeling this is going to be the approach where I'm going to paint right into color and then do washes instead of like you see me do with most of my minis. Again, because I don't want to blur out details. But look at how cool is this? This really does have some fun little architectural touches. That's neat. Stairway to Heaven. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. That's all you're getting of that one for me. Remember at school dances that would play as like the slow dance? And then you get to that awkward part where it's not really a slow dance anymore. That was always fun. I don't know. Looking back at some of those songs, you're like, why did they play that? What was the reason? I just vividly remember thinking, like, why this song? This song isn't exactly, it wasn't like, Goo Goo Dolls, Iris. Yes, I just dated myself. Or what have you. All right, we got more brickwork. There's actually a lot of brickwork in this. Now see here, it sort of has the swirly bit that's going on up here, but it also looks like it has tiles. So those I'll probably go in and sort of hand paint. Well, obviously, but paint each tile individually and then really let the wash jump into the center of those to act as the grout. Where did I? Oh, there it is. Oh, I need my brush. That one went flying. So that way it's again, there really is some great detail in this, Michael. There's more than I even realized there was now that I'm doing this. That's the funny thing. But yeah, I'm going to take this through to here. So basically, let's get this so it's like fully. So I'm going to bring this down and around and I'm going to stop at this section. So this is going to stay gray for now. Again, this is so that I can kind of compartmentalize. Maybe that's why they played Stairway to Heaven. It was just one of those things. I'm like, I don't get it, but okay. All right, let me get this side. I want to see, does this also have, because I don't know, does this have the same? Yeah, it does. It still has some of the tile work. It's just a little bit more shallow. See, but it's not quite as noticeable as the other side. But it gets me thinking as to what I'm going to do, which is always important and helpful when it comes to doing big pieces like this. That's the tricky part. When it's a big piece like this, you have a lot to think about, a lot to focus on. So when you start doing, like here, look, there are little chandeliers right there. Those could be fun to do, like stained glass Tiffany-esque mode. That I might do, because they're not as prominent as these back windows. I think that's where I'll do the stained glass work. But this is helping you see exactly sort of my creative process as I work on this and do this part. Normally I'm not talking out loud. But when I'm sitting here quietly listening to music or watching a stream or something, this is how my mind's working. It's like, oh, well, I could do this. Well, what about that? And it just gets me into the groove of where I'm going to go with everything for this. Okay, so again, like I said, the walls have this neat texture to it. It's almost like a stucco look to it. So that's definitely going to come into play. Trying to get the edges of these stairs here so you can see them a little bit better. Same thing for the banister. But yeah, this is a really neat concept. I haven't seen anything like this ever. So I'm very much excited. All right, Justin, have a great one and have a good weekend. See you next Wednesday. Now here is definitely tile work. So this I already was planning on going through and just having fun and sort of alternating creamy tones. So the tiles have a little bit of different colors sort of mixing through each other. I'm almost done with this part. And then I'll get into doing the wooden ceiling. So it's almost like a top to bottom approach. But you can see how This is what it is like without getting that going in there. Coffee stained glass windows. See, it just helps pop things out a little bit more so you're seeing all the details coming out at you instead of hiding. I need just a little bit more of this Titan white so I can finish up a couple more spots, and then I'm going to flip over to a brown. And I'm not going to do a dark wood. I'm going to do like a mid-grade color of wood, like a honey oak or a maple, I'm thinking, for that ceiling. And then doing the copper. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll do the copper edging first. Maybe I'll do the copper here first, and then I'll go in and do the wood. So I'll grab the copper and I'll grab the brown for the wood, because I think that would be a neat way to do it. Alright, I'm going to keep going here just a little bit more. A couple more things. Get this side here. Hello, Mike. This thing is incredible. For those of you joining now, this is something you can get from a fellow. His name is Andrew London, and it's HOUSECARL.com. Information is in the description below. But it's essentially a display piece that you can use. It comes with a frame that it nests into, as well as a plexiglass front. I have the frame, so I'm going to show what this looks like once it's all done with it put into the frame. I just don't have the plexiglass part. My client decided to keep that, which I am totally fine with. It's one less thing to worry about shipping back and forth. So here it is. You can see the top part done with the Titan white to bring out more of those details in comparison to the bottom. And then let me see here. So let me just show you. I'll hold them over. All right, so this will show you what I mean in terms of using lighter tones instead of sticking with the darker grays. So here's the mini in the darker grays and everything, which it's showing up, but it's kind of meh. Once you start moving up to lighter areas, the colors really come out more. So I want to try and keep this as light and not bright, but I don't want to get into darker tones and pull things down. I really want his minis to be showcased and to show them off a lot more for him. So that's why I'm going with the creams and the browns and everything like that. Okay, while this dries, let me grab that copper I'm thinking of, because I really do think that would be a great way to go about doing this. And again, Plaid sent me so many fun colors. I think it's well worth it. Where'd it go though? Is this it? Yeah, this is... Oh, I forgot they sent me a couple that are great looking. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use this color, and then I need my brown. Hold on. I'm looking. There it is. Chocolate bar? Is that the one I want? No. Nutmeg. That's what I wanted. I want nutmeg. Nutmeg is a great base color for wood. I will say that with the plaid craft paints. That's okay, Mike. Not to worry. It's a gorgeous piece. I mean, it should get the attention, right? You can see me any old day. This is something new and different and exciting. Okay, so I'm going with antique copper. I'm telling you, antique copper? Can we? Nope. So this one's antique copper from the folk art line, and this is nutmeg. So nutmeg's gonna be the wood. Antique copper, I thought it'd be fun to do this as copper. So I'm gonna go in and get that painted in first. And like I said, this is gonna be basically, I'm not doing too many layers of paint. I have looked at the other designs on that website, and they have quite a variety. So do check it out. There's a couple that look sort of more like caverns or outdoor areas. It's neat. It's just fun to kind of look through and see the creative process of another artist and what they're coming up with. Look behind the fabled curtain, right? It's just gotta keep my stash somewhere. But I also don't want you to see the rest of my basement, because half the time what's behind me sometimes has chaos embodied with different projects and whatnot, and it's not always my projects. So it's one of those things, it's like, let's just close that off. You didn't see that. Nope. All right, so going in with the antique copper, I want to paint this. I want it to be a copper cap. And I'm not worrying about the fact that this is a bright, shiny metallic, because again, like I said before, I am going to do a wash, or washes, I should say. So knowing washes are going on this, I'm keeping that as a mental note for myself. And I did share this on social media. This is the problem. Ugh. Keep it in screen, but also keep it so I can paint. Someone asked me on social media if I was going to be airbrushing this. There's so much going on here. Plus, I prefer to hand paint. I do have an airbrush, and I'll use it for like large pieces. If I know I need more of a universal color for a little bit, I will jump over the airbrush. Or, you know, use it for priming. But it's one of those things where, in this case, because I could see there was all these little bits and details going on, I don't feel as comfortable using the airbrush. We shall see. We shall see what this becomes. I'm honestly, like I said, I really want to see what he does, what minis he puts in and everything like that. I've painted a few minis for him. The Strahd one was one of his. The Strahd I did, that was one of his. I'm trying to think if I painted any others of his on stream. I don't think so. But if you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen ones that I've done for him as well, that I've just posted as, hey, this is a mini I finished, when I wasn't exactly being as open to commissions as I was now. Pay no attention to the chaos behind the curtain. Exactly. But yes, I did have commissions open for a week and then had to close them down again because of the response I got. So just keep your ears or eyes open for when I open them back up, because I do enjoy working with people. It's been fun. I do a Zoom meeting and we discuss what wants to be done and talk things out in terms of concept and everything, and we go from there. But it's just me doing the painting, so I can only take on so much at a time. So it gets to the point where I'm kind of like, okay, this is going to be too much if I take on something else. And so I had to close it up. Close it up so I can work on the first batch, and then we'll see where I stand after all these orders are done. Airbrushing has its uses, and there are some artists who do amazing work, and you can totally tell it is their groove and comfort zone, and in my book, all the more power to them. For me, I just can't get my visual eye into working an airbrush the way I can use a paintbrush. Hello, Dungeon Matron! So it is not in any way snobbery on my part. I admire people who can use an airbrush like no man's business. For me, it's more just, it's not where my preference lies, really. So, yep, I tend to grab more brush than airbrush. It'll get pulled out every so often. It's like, oh yeah, I kind of need to get this done. Let me airbrush it. This moved on me. Hold on. So, you can see, yeah, see, that's fun. That's fun having the copper up there. So I'm going to go through and do a little bit more. And I am keeping this very thin on purpose. I didn't want to go too thick in detail, or and get the details mucked up. So I may, and this happens with metallics, I find, I may go back in with another round of this metallic copper, just to really make sure that's set and in there. And then I'll do a wash on it. And in terms of highlighting, I will go back and highlight, but what I think I might do is sort of a, oh, that's lovely. That's excellent. Ooh, donuts. Now my stomach's going to start grumbling. It's one of those things where, and I do this on terrain a lot. I'll go back in and I take a base color, not a base color, but one color, like I'll do a very light cream, and I'll just do a very light dry brush to bring out highlights again. I think that's what I'm going to do with this piece as well, to get those details back out without overwhelming the piece. I am going to make the very top of the ceiling copper as well. I think that'll be fun. Hold on. I got to turn this so I can see the other side of it. Lively donuts. You never know. Weren't there dancing donuts in like a Dunkin' Donuts commercial or something like that? Why do I remember a dancing donut with sprinkles? My brain just went to a very odd spot. Bear with me as I get into different angles here. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to have to pull it out of screen. There is no way I can get to this part without having to bring this in close to me. Sorry! It's just the way it's going to be, loves. I'm starting to get more and more information now with the podcast I'm going to be a part of. I'm so excited for this podcast. It's going to be really a lot of fun. Think Pirates of the Caribbean meet, God, with this group, maybe Monty Python. We shall see. No, it's a great group of people. So I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing where we go with this and the story that develops because of it. And I'm just getting the edges now, carrying through that detail. And again, antique copper. And I am only going to be doing this for an hour today, folks. Like I said, my voice is still a little raw from last night, from talking and everything like that. So I want to have a voice for the weekend. I don't want to push it too much. Alright, so that's getting around the edge there. I'm thinking, do I want to make that all copper or do I want to put some wood detail in there? I'm going to leave that be for now. Alright, now we're going to get the other side. What you do to one side, you do to the other, in this case. But let's see, last night we fought a dragon turtle. Oh my god, that was insane. Oh, and it has a dreadnought ship on its back. So this massive thing is carrying around a ship filled with automatons. It's just like, oh my god. So we ended the game last night literally mid-combat. Like, we killed the dragon turtle. That sucker's done with at least. But things are happening. Yeah, it's just the nature of metallics. I think a lot of it has to do with what makes them metallic. Those little flecks of sparkles like to grasp upon each other. So it's always fun. And always just something to keep in mind. Which is why I'm doing a thin coat. First go around. I don't want to glob this on and then lose things. You know how I am. I like to be honest about what I'm noticing with a product. So in this case with this design, since the details are a little bit more shallow in depth, I don't want to have that get filled in too much with too many paints. But we're making progress. It's getting there. But it's looking good for the second episode of The Last Heir. It's looking like all my players can make it that Sunday. So come over to Kobold Press Twitch channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and join me as we get ready to fight the Crimson Mist. And it's not just any Crimson Mist, it's a sentient Crimson Mist of an ancient vampiric lady. Well, she's like a lady as in lord and lady type of thing. Hello, mailman, how are you? So I'm looking forward to that and having that kind of like pull itself together. And then there's other things they have to work on and resolve and deal with in the books, so to speak. So yeah, that'll be fun. They're a great group of players. Honestly, as a DM, it's one of those things where I have found, for my own personal prep work, as long as I'm secure with the lore and the land, I try to give them as much wiggle room to kind of flesh things out with their stories and what they're thinking. And there are just times I sit there and I'm like, okay then, that's gonna be a thing. They come up with stuff where I'm just like, what? But in a good way, if that makes sense. They keep me on my toes. They absolutely keep me on my toes. All right, I gotta pull this out of frame again because of the odd angle I need to go in here with. Okay, there we go. Got that. And now I just need to get the corner here. That scratching sound is the Velcro that's on the back here. This is part of what attaches the frame to this piece. So there will be Velcro if you order one of these things in the frame option, which I've scratched my hand a couple times with it. And if you have the auditory thing where you don't like the sound of Velcro, then I highly recommend you get some felt. Oh, actually, I should just do that for my own sanity. Get some felt and just pop it onto the Velcro itself, and it'll keep it from scratching or sticking to things. I am basically painting the whole thing up, mailman. So it's not something where this is set, ready, and done for full display. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but the client definitely wants to give this more of a personal touch and have it look more like an actual bit of a castle, is his wish with that one. So that's what I'm doing. And taking inspiration from old Italian palaces because I want to keep it in a lighter palette instead of going dark and gray, and ivories and creams and earth tones are more the direction I'm going with this one. All right, let me rinse brushes here. And I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do the nutmeg on the beam, on the panels, and then do a darker brown on the beams. Probably do chocolate bar is what I'm thinking. It is... Hi, Kelly. How are you, darling? I thought you had Strahd's castle. How many castles are you going to have there, lady? I mean, geez. You got Strahd paying rent? Okay, so I don't need as large of a brush in this case. I am going to jump down to the 1/4 inch, and I'm going to jump over to nutmeg brown. It is a really cool piece. That's why I got excited. He was like, hey, could you? Oh, yes, please. I'd love to. Thank you. All right, so nutmeg brown, and this one I find on its own as a paint, it's thinner. Even though it looks thick, it's not as pigmented, so I don't bother thinning out nutmeg at all, if ever. Even though it looks thick, it actually doesn't go on thick, if that makes sense. So if you go to use nutmeg like I'm using right now, you don't have to thin the paint. Just give it a nice layer on there, and you can see it starts taking on a warm wooden brown. And like I said, it's one of those deals where I know I'm using washes in this process. So I'm letting the wash, it's going to help sort of fall in as well into those deeper grooves and everything. And this is where I have to keep changing angles so I can reach places. Yep, little slit. That's the funny thing, keeping it so you can see it and I can see it. Strahd the squatter. Don't tell Strahd that. You better have your garlic necklace ready. That's a game I haven't had a chance to play yet. But it's looking like I might have the opportunity to jump in as a guest player for a Curse of Strahd campaign. So that I'm looking forward to, at least getting a little taste of it. If not the full throttle in a campaign, because quite frankly, I can't take on any more campaigns. I'm at capacity. But it would be nice to get a little taste of what's going on. Okay, so now that I'm looking at, this is why I said I wanted to give myself a chance. Now that I'm looking at this next to that, I want this all to be copper. So I am going to go back over once I'm done doing the panels here, and I'm going to go back in and do copper on the corners. I think it's going to look gorgeous with the warm tones here, but I don't want to do it right now because I have the other paint out. So I'm going to keep going with nutmeg and just painting up these sections with the wooden paneling, not painting the beams. The beams I'm going to drop down a couple of tones in brown because I think that would play off nicely with each other, having the different colors going on there. Whew, I am really feeling it in my voice now. Gonna have that whiskey voice starting up soon for you. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do for next Wednesday is the Pit Fiend from WizKids. It's a very cool dynamic miniature. Some really awesome details in it. I think that'll be a fun one to paint on stream because it's going to be one of those, kind of like this one, where it's just going to pop the more it gets done. And it's another commission piece, so I thought that could be kind of cool for them to see their miniature getting some work done on them. I was doing a lot of assembling yesterday of the minis that have come in. I try and like sort of assembly line it. So it's like, okay, yesterday was the take out of the box, see what mold lines needed to get stripped down, if anything needed some green stuff to sort of fill in gaps, or do the old trick of super glue and baking soda to fill in those very fine crack lines that sometimes happen. So I did that yesterday. And I need to find a weapon for one of the minis because, and the client had already talked to me about this, unfortunately, the weapon it has right now currently keeps breaking. So I was looking at it. There's really no way to fix it at this point because it's been broken a couple times. So I got to go through my stash of harvested minis, I guess is the best way to describe it, and see if I have a weapon that I can take from one mini and give to his to fix it. But this is giving you an idea now of the whole wooden ceiling concept I wanted to go with. And like I said, I'm keeping in these warm earth tones and creams. I'm already very happy with how these two are starting to play off of each other. This is shaping up nicely already. Yay! I feel like Unikitty from the Lego movie. Business, business, business. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Is this working? Yes. Yay! My mind, it's a very odd place to be. Let's see. Not Luthra. Currently playing a bugbear, true neutral, blood hunter. Ooh. That sounds intriguing. I like that. I really do love hearing what people are playing or what they're plotting as DMs. Everyone has their own approach to it, and the creativity is just, it's incredible. God. Pit Fiend and a Pinkie Pie. Okay. That's a combination. Oh, and the little cutie pie finished painting on Wednesday. He is officially living on my mantle. I put him up there to take a picture, and I was just like, you know what? It stays. That's where it stays. It's just too perfect. Plus, it's kind of fun. I'll just sit there and I'll look up from, checking emails and whatever, and there's that cute little face, and you're just like, oh, little one. So yeah, slight obsession. I fully admit to having that problem. I am a fan, admittedly, unabashedly, of him and of the others too. I mean, the whole show I'm just very pleased with. It's my spaghetti western. Yeah, that is just, I like it. I like that a lot. It's cool to see a different approach pulled together for those. Definitely loving this nutmeg. I'm debating. I might take this nutmeg and debating between the Seraphim Sepia or the Agrax for the wash. Gut is telling me lean towards Agrax because it might get too yellowy because this is already a nice warm brown. But this is going to look great once the wash goes on, for sure. So I'm excited. I'm very excited with how this is already pulling together for the ceiling. Hello, Creative Teaching Wilbird. D&D Club at middle school is starting up next week. That's fantastic! Congratulations! Oh, see, I love hearing about stuff like that. Do come back and share how they're doing with it and the stories, because I'm telling you, playing with the younger ones, it's actually good for you as an adult player even, or an adult DM, because They keep you on your feet even more so. I truly enjoyed it. I think it's a fantastic show. It's, you know, it even stands alone nicely, even if you aren't familiar with the whole canon of Star Wars and whatnot. I like it. I really think it's well done and engaging and intriguing, and the character development is wonderful, and the storylines are all grand. And again, I don't feel like you have to be an avid fan to get into it. I have seen the movies, all of them, and everything like that. I haven't watched all of the side stories and whatnot in terms of the different cartoons that are out there and all the other movies that are out there, but I have enjoyed the big ones, and I enjoy the show. So take that for what it is. Oh, kids are amazingly outside the box. They really, like, they just, I'm gonna do this, and you're like, okay, let's do it. I forgot who I was watching yesterday, and I actually meant to go back and check it out in my history. There was a gentleman who has a YouTube channel, and again, this is one of those, I watched it because it was on someone's feed, or on my feed from someone's post. I didn't catch the name of the channel or anything like that. They were talking about how they just started an impromptu game with their 4-year-old daughter, and it was just beyond endearing. It was so sweet. And it was basically, they just told a little story together. But it was the whole point. That was the whole point. It's like you can get them involved when they're younger. You're basically more just telling stories together and figuring out what's the proper content in your parenting comfort zone for them. It's amazing what it does for them as they grow up. I mean, my youngest, he 3.5, I want to say 3.5, 4. Got him into it, and he has the most intriguing, can you see that? The most intriguing imagination, and I absolutely adore the ideas he comes up with. He is forever, I'm not even kidding, he's always creating new PCs, giving me their backstories, super proud of what he's come up with, and it's wonderful to see the creativity and the thoughtfulness and the ingenuity, and how it's all because, you know, started them in tabletop games at a young age. They're also very good at expressing themselves and working with others and everything like that. And again, it's just, I will happily get on that grandstand, and ooh, I'm loving that. So this is what I mean. The piece is big. Even though it's only 12 inches across, it's still big for a miniatures. But you can start seeing where things are going here. You get this wooden ceiling happening. Again, the wash is going to bring it a little bit more. We have the copper happening. This is inside copper, so I'm not going to worry about doing a patina. That's going to be a little bit much, but I am going to go back into the antique copper now, and I'm going to use this larger brush now, and I'm going to get the rest of these, because now that I'm seeing this fleshing out, I know I want this to be all copper for sure. Let me see here. All your characters end up trying to turn the bad guys good. I have players, and I have been in games like that. There's nothing wrong with that, quite honestly. I mean, I've even been in games where one of the PCs was leaning more evil, I guess. And they kind of had an about face because of the other characters and the interactions they had. So that's always a very cool and interesting dynamic to have play out as well. How they affect each other. Like, you know, you have the very straight and narrow paladin who's associating with the kind of more fly-by-night rogue, and their friendship sort of helps one ease up and the other kind of takes stock of what it is they're actually doing. And I don't know, stuff like that is fun. Yeah, I definitely like that capped completely in the copper. That's very cool by me. I am going to do another layer of this. Like I said, I knew I was going to have to go back here. I'm just going to do sort of an overbrush, not so much a full. Just really want to get this section so that we're getting a little bit of gapping still happening. So just very lightly going back through here. Again, I don't want to overload these details and have them lost to layers of paint. But that gives me a little bit more of a consistent coverage there, which I want. Excellent. Okay, and we're getting towards 1 o'clock. And like I said, I'm only going to do this for a little bit longer. So let me get the other side. And I think I will call it at that, perhaps. But yeah, it's also cool to take stock of where you start and where you are, which we've been doing a lot of with the Dawnbringers, because I think Jake mentioned it was like our 50th episode or something like that, or close to. And our PCs have definitely done a lot of changing and a lot of growing, and that's been interesting to play out and see happen. And, you know, definitely have lucked out with playing with some very talented people who take very interesting approaches to how they play and the backstories of their own characters, and, you know, things like the fact we have Ted's PC, who's like 3 different classes. It's a Paladin, Barbarian, Paladin, Cleric is the order of operations. It does have a very Castlevania look to it. Yes, I agree. Same thing as I did on the other side. I'm just adding another very light layer. Just to kind of get that to a little bit less. There we go. All right. So I think we're going to call it for that for the day. But I did want you guys to see this because I'm going to bring it out every so often and just work on it a little bit more here and there. But this is going to be a really cool display diorama once it's all said and done. I love these details. I love how it's sort of a different way to display. It's not just the classic block curio cabinet approach. So if this is something you're interested in trying to snag for yourself or take a look at other options that they have, it is Andrew London is a designer. His website is HOUSECARL, not of, just HOUSECARL. Hold on. This one's mirrored, so as you can see, it's a really neat take on how to get minis displayed and out there and kind of turn into, well, its own little work of art. Hello, Jake. I'm just about to wrap up. I was talking about our game last night, too, and my voice is starting to go. So, what we can plan on for next week is definitely on Wednesday. I will be doing the lunch break live stream with the Pit Fiend. A nice, big, ugly, evil fellow. Can't wait to get to work on him. And then I'm going to play it by ear and see if I have time to work on this one some more. I'm going to be working on this on my own, so I'll explain what I've done as I make progress. But thought it'd be fun to get started on the stream live so everyone can see this really fun bit of coolness. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have some fun things planned for yourselves, or just give yourselves some time to rest if that is what you need. So take care, everybody. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I will see you on the socials, especially Twitter, because, you know, that's sort of my jam. So take care, and until later. Bye!